Welcome to the 2024 Diaper Distribution Demonstration and Research Pilot Notice of Funding Opportunity Pre-Application Presentation. This presentation provides prospective applicants of the Diaper Distribution Demonstration and Research Pilot with details about the 2024 grant competition. Throughout this presentation, the Diaper Distribution Demonstration and Research Pilot will be referred to as the Diaper Distribution Pilot. It is also listed as DDDRP in the Notice of Funding Opportunity, or NOFO. Please note, in the event of any discrepancy between this presentation and the NOFO takes precedence. The 2024 Diaper Distribution Pilot, NOFO, is now available on the Diaper Distribution Pilot Grants webpage of the Administration for Children and Families website. The Administration for Children and Families will be referred to as ACF throughout this presentation. The Office of Community Services, also known as OCS, wants to bring to your attention some important details about the 2024 Diaper Distribution Pilot Grant Competition. Each of these details is discussed in Section 4, Application and Submission Information, and will be discussed in more detail in this presentation. ACF requires applications to be electronically submitted via www.grants.gov. The deadline for electronic application submission is 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time on July 11th, 2024. The deadline for receipt of paper applications is 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time on the same date. Keep in mind, to submit a paper application, you must obtain a waiver in advance. Each applicant may only upload 2 electronic files, one for the project description and another for the appendices. All project application materials must be included in these 2 files. Additional files that are loaded into grants.gov as part of the project description or appendices, such as resumes, will be removed from the competitive review file and not reviewed by the panel. The exceptions to this are the standard forms and OMB approved forms, which will not be counted as additional files. Carefully note the file naming conventions required by www.grants.gov. Limit file names to 50 characters, which includes characters and spaces. Adobe Acrobat is compatible for use with grants.gov. However, we recommend using the grants.gov compatible version of Adobe Reader software. Read the troubleshooting page on grants.gov for more information. OCS is excited to kick off the 2024 Diaper Distribution Pilot Grant Competition. The NOFO is available at the URL listed on this slide. To start off today's presentation, we will talk a bit about the Diaper Distribution Pilot. The purpose of the Diaper Distribution Pilot is to evaluate the ability of community action agencies, also known as CAAs, social service agencies, and/or other nonprofit community organizations, also known as NPOs, to provide diapers and diapering supplies on a consistent basis through diaper distribution programs, while also offering wraparound support services for families with low incomes. An evaluation accompanying the program will study the implementation and/or impact of additional funding for diapers on families, partnering organizations, and the greater community. As a reminder, as we dive into the details of this NOFO, in the event of a discrepancy between this presentation and the NOFO takes precedence. The following types of organizations are eligible to receive direct awards from the Diaper Distribution Pilot: Community Services Block Grant, or CSBG, state associations, tribes that were funded directly by CSBG in fiscal year 2024, and CSBG-funded territories. Please see Appendix A of the NOFO for a list of eligible organizations. Applications from individuals, including sole proprietorships and foreign entities, are not eligible and will be disqualified from competitive review and funding under this funding opportunity. See Section 3.3, Other Application Disqualifying Factors. The focus of the program is to scale up existing diaper distribution programs where families can receive diapers on a consistent or regular basis and maximize diaper distribution to diverse families with low incomes in various service areas and geographic regions. Funds from this award may be used within the 5 areas for diapers and diapering supply needs described in Section 1, Program Description, Subsection D, Activities. Recipients will be required to implement projects that have a thorough plan for value-added activities in each of the following 5 areas. 1. Establishing partnerships with local service organizations with current diaper distribution programs. Note, tribal recipients can utilize local existing diaper distribution programs operating within the structure of the tribal government and/or the jurisdiction of the tribe. 2. Expanding existing diaper distribution programs. 3. Providing training and technical assistance, that is T&TA, to partners to expand and/or strengthen existing diaper distribution programs, including providing wraparound services to program beneficiaries. 4. Facilitating bulk purchasing and efficient transportation of diapers and diapering supplies using economies of scale models. 5. Actively supporting the federal evaluation and ACF's evaluation contractor and encouraging partners to do the same. As a reminder, DDDRP grant award funding may only be used to support the provision of diapers and diapering supplies. Award funding may not be used to pay directly for any wraparound support services. Recipients will be required to design and implement their diaper distribution pilot so that it reflects the following principles. Pilot programs must have as a central feature the distribution of diapers and diapering supplies to participating low-income families on a consistent, regular basis, for example, bi-weekly or monthly, as opposed to an ad hoc approach. Programs must ensure that diapers are distributed to each participating family at least once every 2 months, but preferably more often. Programs must also ensure they take into consideration the changing sizes and needs of children from month to month and adjust diaper supplies accordingly. Pilot programs must offer diaper distribution services to families and individuals who need them regardless of the age of the child. For example, families with young children and families with individuals with disabilities and/or special needs. To ensure valid, reliable, and replicable results of the research demonstration, pilot programs should limit diaper purchasing for children under the age of 18. Recipients must design and implement their pilot programs with a consideration for the ultimate environmental impact of the program's activities, and recipients must prioritize equity in the design and implementation of their pilot program. The following are examples of possible activities eligible under the program and are not meant to be definitive or exhaustive. Purchasing, transporting, and storing diapers and diapering supplies, and planning the logistics of such activities. Organizing and facilitating regular diaper distribution delivery to participating families. Collecting data and other information about the implementation of the program in order to improve performance. Providing T&TA to community partners related to the efficient and effective operation and expansion of their diaper distribution programs. As a reminder, funds for this program may be used only for expenses associated with diapers and diapering supply needs. Diaper distribution pilot funds may not be used for the following purposes: to cover the costs of organized fundraising, including financial campaigns, endowment drives, solicitation of gifts and bequests, and similar expenses incurred to raise capital or obtain contributions. Proposal costs, pre-award costs, construction, major renovation, or purchase of real property. Section 1, Program Description in the NOFO includes more information on ineligible activities. As described in Section 3.2, Cost Sharing or Matching, recipients are required to meet a non-federal share of the project cost. The funding is to be used for making grants to states and public and other organizations and agencies for paying part of the cost of research or demonstration projects. Recipients must provide at least 9% of the total approved cost of the project. The total approved cost of the project is the sum of the ACF federal share and the non-federal share. The non-federal share may be met by cash or in-kind contributions, although recipients are encouraged to meet their match requirements through cash contributions. For example, in order to meet the match requirements, a project requesting $1.2 million in ACF federal funds must provide a non-federal share of the approved total project cost of at least $118,681, which is 9% of the total approved project cost of $1,318,681. Prospective applicants should also note the important post-award requirements outlined in Section 6.3. Recipients of funding under the Diaper Distribution Pilot are required to submit reports periodically throughout their project period. These include the Program Progress Report, or the PPR, which is submitted quarterly throughout the project, and the Federal Financial Report, or FFR, which is submitted semi-annually. As noted in Section 2, Federal Award Information, for fiscal year 2024, $8.4 million is available to fund diaper distribution pilot projects. The maximum award level for an individual project this year is $1.2 million. The award floor is $800,000. The length of each project is 24 months. That is, one 24-month project period with one concurrent 24-month budget period. OCS anticipates funding approximately 7 distribution pilot projects, diaper distribution pilot projects for 2024. Now we will discuss some of the general format requirements for submitting an application as discussed in Section 4, Application and Submission Information of the NOFA. It is very important to read Section 4.2, Content and Form of Application Submission, very closely. All applications must be submitted electronically using www.grants.gov. Applicants are required to submit their applications electronically unless they have received an exemption that will allow submission in paper format. See Section 4.2, Application Submission Options, for information about requesting an exemption. Keep in mind, there may be some differences in application formatting and submission requirements for paper applications, so pay close attention to those requirements in the NOFA. For this presentation, we will focus on the requirements for electronic applications. All applications, both paper and electronic, must be double-spaced and use Times New Roman 12-point font, except for footnotes, which may be 10-point Times New Roman. The parts of the application that may have different formatting requirements are listed on this slide and in the NOFA. All applicants must submit and upload all required elements and supporting documentation in 2 files, the project description and the appendices. Applications must be submitted in 2 files and must not exceed a combined total of 75 pages. In both files, all items must be labeled, numbered, and organized clearly in the table of contents. Details about the items included in the project description and appendices can be found in Section 4.2 under the heading Page Limitations and Content for all submission formats. These 2 files and page limitations do not include standard forms or OMB approved forms. An example of such form is the SF 424. These forms will be submitted separately as directed in the online system. Applications with additional files will be amended and files will be removed from the review. ACF recommends that electronic applications be uploaded as portable document files, PDFs. ACF also recommends merging documents electronically rather than scanning multiple documents into one document manually, as scanned documents may have reduced clarity and readability. In the next 2 slides, we will discuss the details of what these 2 files must include. As noted in Section 4.2, Page Limitations and Content for all submission formats, The project description file must include the items presented on this slide. All items must be labeled, numbered, and organized clearly in the table of contents. Keep in mind this is the narrative of your application, and it may include references to supporting documentation that may be included in the appendices file. In such instances, applicants should provide clear references using item name, location, and page numbers. For example, you may include a reference to the letters of support in the project description, and then include the actual letters in the appendices file. As noted in Section 4.2, Page Limitations and Content for all submission formats, the appendices file must include the items presented on this slide. All items must be labeled, numbered, and organized clearly in the table of contents. Keep in mind, all submissions, inclusive of the project description and the appendices, are limited to 75 pages total. It is extremely important for applicants to read the NOFO very closely and submit all of the required information and forms outlined in the announcement. This information determines an applicant's eligibility for the Diaper Distribution Pilot grant funding. If applicants fail to include any of the requested information, it will reduce or even eliminate their chance of receiving a Diaper Distribution Pilot grant. Additionally, it is strongly encouraged that applicants review the definition of terms and utilize the checklist provided in the Notice of Funding Opportunity to ensure all required materials have been submitted. Applicants can find the definition of terms in Section 1 of the NOFO and the checklist in Section 8. We will now review the application requirements that reviewers of the applications will consider during their review. All applications will be reviewed and evaluated using the criteria shown here. Reviewers will allocate points based on the extent to which each application addresses the criteria. Applicants should address these criteria in their application materials. Project relevance and current need, goals, objectives, and outcome, approach, evaluation, organizational capacity, and budget narrative justification. The approach section is further broken out into 6 sub-criteria: engaging with community partners, growing existing distribution programs, strengthening wraparound services, providing TNTA to community partners, taking advantage of economies of scale, and organizing logistics. There are also 3 bonus point criteria. For these bonus points, reviewers will be looking for evidence in the application of community engagement, collaboration with other OCS programs, and that the project is located in a state, tribe, or trust territory that has not had an active diaper distribution pilot project. Much more information about all of these criteria is included in Section 5.1 of the NOFO, and it is very important that applicants pay close attention to this section. Now we will discuss the process for submitting your diaper distribution pilot application. More information on the process is found in Section 4, Application and Submission Information, in the NOFO. Both first-time and repeat applicants are strongly encouraged to review this information well in advance of the application deadline, as OCS will not be able to extend the deadline. All applications must be received by 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time on July 11, 2024 via grants.gov. Applications submitted after this deadline will not be reviewed. Organizations must have an active System for Award Management, or SAM, registration, which provides a Unique Entity Identifier, UEI, and a grants.gov account to apply for awards. Creating a grants.gov account can often be completed online in minutes, but SAM registration may take several weeks. So all applicants are strongly encouraged to review this information well in advance of the application deadline. Applications submitted by an authorized organizational representative that do not have current registrations will be rejected by grants.gov. For detailed guidance on how to register and update registration for these systems, please visit the Register and Get Ready resource available on the ACF website at the URL listed on this slide. If you encounter any trouble submitting your application, you must obtain a ticket number directly from the grants.gov help desk. A ticket number is required for all waiver requests. ACF may extend an application due date and receipt time when circumstances such as natural disasters occur, such as floods or hurricanes, when there are widespread disruptions of mail service, or in other very rare cases. Determination to extend or waive due date and receipt time requirements rests with ACF's Chief Grants Management Officer. Applications are required to be submitted electronically at grants.gov unless they have received an exemption in writing from the ACF Grants Officer. Details about how to obtain waivers are described in the announcement under Section 4.2. If a waiver is granted, hard copy applications are due at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Refer to the announcement for the address to submit hard copy applications. More information on the process is found in Section 4, Application and Submission Information. Now we will discuss the details of the application review process as discussed in Section 5, Application Review Information in the NOFO. The NOFO discusses the application review process in Section 5.2, Review and Selection Process. Every application received from an eligible applicant organization will be reviewed if it is submitted on time and as long as the request is not over the maximum funding level of $1.2 million. No more than 2 files from each application will be provided to the panel to read and review. Once an application passes the initial screening, it will be reviewed and scored based on its responsiveness to the evaluation criteria in Section 5.1 of the NOFO. It will be reviewed and scored by a panel composed of non-federal social service professionals. The application will be reviewed for content completeness. Therefore, a very important aspect of the application is the inclusion of all documentation needed to support the written statements. The easiest way to make certain your organization is covering all of the bases is by submitting all of the elements in the application checklist presented in Section 8, Other Information of the NOFO. Again, more detail on the application review process can be found in the NOFO in Section 5.2, Review and Selection Process. Highly ranked applications are not guaranteed funding. Reviewer scores weigh heavily in funding decisions, but they are not the only factor considered. The NOFO includes several factors ACF and OCS will consider when making awards. The OCS director has discretion to make all final funding decisions. Again, the NOFO discusses the application review process in full detail in Section 5.2, Review and Selection Process. Announcement of awards and the disposition of applications will be provided to applicants at a later date. ACF staff cannot respond to requests for information regarding funding decisions prior to the official applicant notification. All applicants who are funded will be notified by email no later than September 30th, 2024. More on the award process can be found in Section 6, Federal Award Administration Information of the NOFO. Several reference websites are included in the NOFO that may be of use in putting together an application. These websites are listed here. This concludes the presentation on the 2024 Diaper Distribution Demonstration and Research Pilot Notice of Funding Opportunity.